My name is Gal Mardo. I'm the EVP of Strategy in JFrog. Strategy is a big word, so let's try to kind of break it down to what I do. Three main things. Pure corporate strategy, which means basically looking at 3 to 5 years horizon and deciding what directions JFrog should go to. Corporate development, which is all about from strategic investment all the way to acquisitions. And business development, or at least a part of business development, which is everything that has to do with technology partnerships. Okay, channels are sitting under Tali, under the CRO. I guess you know Tali by now. And everything that has to do with technology partnerships is under me. But for the last 5 years, that's not what I was doing. This is my new role, and I'm doing it for the last half year or so, a little bit less. But before that, I was part of the revenue organization. I was, if you got to know Nick already, I don't know, he's managing the solution engineering. So I used to run the solution engineering and the professional services at JFrog for almost the last 5 years, and recently moved to this role. So how this presentation came about, I'll start with that, because many people who onboarded JFrog, especially from non-technical group, but also from technical groups, were coming in. It is a bit hard to understand exactly what we do and exactly what our value is. And since I was responsible for solution engineering and mainly talking to senior people, so I kind of had this situation of explaining what our value is and what we do to people who are not as technical. And at some point, people will come to me and, can you do me a favor? Can you explain to that super important new hire what we do? And I realized, okay, it's a super important need. Okay, it's a super important need because I believe that no matter what you do in the company, okay, no matter what you do, from being, I don't know, responsible for ops and the offices to being a seller and selling to our most strategic customers or customer success or professional services or whatever, if you really connect to what we do and you understand what we do, obviously it has an impact on your passion and how you enjoy your work and how much you invest in it. But it also influences your ability to take these very small decisions sometimes that make a very significant impact. And specifically on the revenue organization and the customer success organization, I can tell you firsthand that for me, the people who are curious about what we do, what's the value, even if you're not technical and the value is very technical, are extremely more successful than the ones who are saying, okay, I'm just relying on my, I don't know, interpersonal skills and pure sales skills, which are super important, okay, but not being very curious about what the value is and what we do. So I hope this is trivial for some of you, but it was not trivial for everyone who I talked to. So if I have to kind of put the why we do this presentation in one sentence, it is to connect every frog. Yes, this is how we call our employees, frogs. I hope you kind of enjoy it and like it. Connect every frog to JFrog's business by explaining the value that we provide our customers. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty technical details. I will a little bit, okay, to some extent, but not too much. But understanding the value, understanding what are we providing to our customers, because this is obviously essential. Okay, before that, let's take a look at that. You know, I don't know, I guess there's kind of diverse experience in the room and people are coming from different companies. But being here for the last 5 years, I kind of got used to this list. But every once in a while, I kind of force myself to say, okay, don't get used to it. Look at this list of amazing logos and think about it. All these amazing companies, and this is a very partial list, okay? Almost any top brand you can think about in the world is betting on JFrog every year, again and again, to manage the software supply chain. For me, I'm humbled by this, okay? I remind myself every time I see this, first of all, I'm thankful for being able to kind of be at the forefront of the business in the world, okay, and contribute something. And it also kind of takes me back to, okay, there's a lot of responsibility in what we do. Okay, we're driving here like the leading companies in the world of every domain, and this is where it starts for me. We do something that is so hard to explain, but apparently it's appealing to all top businesses in the world. Okay, so hopefully that makes you curious about what we do. So this is kind of an illustrative timeline of how software development looks like, and I'll explain it in a second. When software development started, by the way, long before 2005, when people developed software, they used to write everything on their own. What does it mean? Everything I want this stupid machine to do, I have to tell it in very clear details, no matter what programming language I'm using, exactly what it needs to do. I'm writing everything. Okay? If I want to add two numbers, a very basic operation, I'll have to somehow tell the machine how to add two numbers. And people produced some amazing software using that, but it took a lot of time and a lot of expertise. And what happened during the years is that obviously the industry, as an industry, or the individuals in the industry understood that it's not very efficient to write everything from scratch, and we started creating our own libraries. Okay, pieces of software that do some basic behavior that is repeating between one software and another, and pack those in what we call a software package. Okay, and then when we started coding, we would say, okay, we're not coding everything. Okay, we're coding some, and we're using some software packages to do these kind of different operations that are being repeated every time again and again. And over the years, as an industry, again, we became more and more efficient with that, and we had more and more libraries. And at some point, there were a few technological advancements, and also not just technological, cultural advancements that accelerated this motion. For example, open source happened, okay? Which is, open source for me, it's cultural, it's not technical, okay? But it's a cultural thing that people suddenly decided, by the way, it's very weird if you think about it, this whole thing of open source. People decided that either just for fun or for their recognition or for different reasons, they're just producing these different packages free of charge and sharing them with the world. Okay, what they're getting out of it? Fame, I don't know, recognition. Some figure out good ways to make money out of it as well. But it became a very common thing. And this accelerated the amount of software packages, the amount of behavior that we can kind of use to the point that an average software that is being written today, if you look at what eventually consists of the final product, usually it's about 10 to 20% original code that I wrote myself as a developer, and 80 to 90% is software packages that I used from the outside world. And you know, I don't know how surprised you are by that, but it's a pretty big thing. Okay, most of what we produce as software companies is not actually something that we created. Okay, we kind of took some pieces, connected them together, put in some of our, I don't know, secret sauce, but it's just a little bit, and we created something valuable. Now, how is that connected to us? When we're talking about coding things ourselves, okay, we have to manage the source code. What does it mean managing source code? We have to store the code that we write somewhere. Probably we have to share it between different developers because they work together. We want to compare versions, and source control, that's how we call it, these tools that are managing the source, was there for a very long time. But what JFrog realized, or to be more accurate, Yoav Landman, our CTO, realized in a very early stage that these software packages, these libraries, they are a complicated beast. There are tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of them. Each of them has their own lifecycle. So, you know, this open source developer that is releasing a new version is not calling me as one using his version to say, okay, I'm going to release a new version. So think of it. I have, as part of my product, I have tens of thousands of small pieces. Each has their own life cycle, creating new versions, changing. and this is part of my product. I should somehow manage this thing and control this thing to make sure, first, that I take advantage of the advancements that are coming, but also making sure that if someone realizes there is a bug in the software, someone realizes that something is not safe to use, they are violating some kind of regulation, they have a security problem. These are all things that I kind of don't control, but they are part of my product. And this is essentially what JFrog excels at. We're helping you manage this thing. Now, if you think about it in different terms, if you think about it as, I don't know, let's talk about the food and drug industry. Okay? Some things happen there as well, right? When I'm creating a new, I don't know, type of candy, there are a lot of ingredients in there that I did not manufacture, right? A lot of them. Sugar came from some supplier, I don't know, water came from another. Eventually I'm producing a candy, sending it everywhere. But there's a whole supply chain of things that is coming in to this product. And eventually, in the food and drug industry, it's very clear that I have to keep very clear track out of that, right? If I know which batch of which ingredient came in and which batch of my product that I produced, it relies on these batches. So if, I don't know, God forbid, someone will tell me that the sugar was poisoned, I'll know what to call back. I'll do everything, okay? Or the car manufacturing, or any industry that you think about. It's just the same in software, but to be honest, it's much more important than software. Because the number of components in software and the pace at which they are getting updated and changed is much higher than any other industry. So keeping track of all the components and managing them somehow, managing this supply chain, is a key need that I cannot really live without. Yeah. Okay, so this is where it started, okay? And you know, let's say that illustratively we're here. Think of what's going on with AI right now, okay? Well, I don't know, probably the initial impact, the first impact of AI will be, and we see it already, acceleration of coding and creating processes. So it will both accelerate the number of libraries created, the pace at which libraries are updated, the code that I'm creating and using these. So all of these things are just shifting gears now and becoming even faster than what it is today. And this is just the initial impact. I cannot start to think of what other impacts will be there as well. Okay? But this is what we try to control. We try to manage the software supply chain. Okay? This supply chain of software packages that are flowing into the software development organization. The software packages, the parts in the supply chain that are being manufactured within the software company, and where it goes to the outside world. This is what we do. Now, let's try to break it down a little bit more. Okay? This is where we get a little bit more technical, but you have to bear with me. But we're also going to take it more to the value side and not just the need. Okay? So the need up to now was, okay, I have to control this thing, but why? What could happen? Why do I want to control it? So usually I want to control it. You see all these are kind of icons representing different types of software packages flowing into my organization, and the code with the different programming languages that I am, as a software manufacturer, I am writing as a software developer, and they turn into binaries, into software packages themselves, and all of this kind of flies into the machine of releasing a software product, okay? My software supply chain. Now, as an organization, if I'm a 5-people organization, I probably don't care a lot. Why I would say that? Because all I care about, if I'm a startup developing software, I want to create the product, I want to create it fast. No one relies on it too much in the beginning, so if we'll have a security vulnerability, okay, it can be dangerous, but I don't have time for that. If I will use something with the wrong license, I don't care about that too much. I do care, it's not that I don't care, but it's relatively easy. But if I am an organization at the size of JFrog, or an organization at the size of Morgan Stanley with 30,000 developers, okay? About 1,000 developers, a few hundreds of developers in JFrog, okay, let's say 500. Then I have to take care of security. I want to take care of automation, of governance, and of scale, and let's talk about each of them. What do I mean by security? Okay, taking care of security, meaning I'm taking all these libraries. I have to make sure that they are safe to use. Okay? Not safe to use, meaning maybe the creator of one of these libraries, I remind you, it's open source libraries. I don't know these developers. Maybe one of them has a malicious intent. They want that when I install this library, it will, I don't know, break into my computer, take all the information on it and send it somewhere. Maybe someone is not doesn't have malicious intents, but they are just not careful enough in the way they write code, and they write code that is not secure enough, and if I use it, it can be exploited by some other malicious actor that tries to attack my product, okay? So this security is very high level. Automation. Obviously, when you have 30,000 developers and you have a release process, you want to automate everything. If you want to automate something that is composed of tens of thousands, of hundreds of thousands of pieces, you somehow need to manage the pieces and the metadata of these pieces so it will be accessible to any automation engine that you want to create. This is important. You want governance. You want to control what's going in there and what's going out of there. Okay, making sure that you know about each library that is being part of each product that you create. You have to govern it somehow. Okay, and recently, by the way, since there was a lot of software supply chain problems or attacks, we even have executives order coming from the White House about how to govern software and the fact that you have to manage what they call SBOM, software bill of materials. Okay, this is back to the food industry. Just think of the list of ingredients that comprises a product. And, of course, you want all of this to work at scale because you're a large organization. Okay? And you cannot allow yourself for this to be the bottleneck of your organization. You have this to work. This is the value that JFrog is providing you. We are allowing you to take this software supply chain, take all these libraries that are being injected into your organization, allow your developers to work with them freely, okay? Not thinking too much about any library that they want to use, because there are some developers in the room that will tell you, when I need some kind of piece of package to do some work for me, my focus is not, is it safe? My focus is in the functional need that I need to do right now. I have to achieve this. This is what I'm focused on. I want all the rest to come automatically. Somehow someone will stop me if I'm doing something wrong. So all of this is done from the moment packages are getting into the organization to developers, all the way until it's released to production. Released to run in the cloud, to run on some IoT device, to run in some data center, doesn't matter. This is what JFrog is doing. So now let's try to, in high level, break it down to the products. Okay, just so we start to get an understanding of what product is doing well. So I'll go chronologically in how kind of these products started, because obviously it has some sense in it. So JFrog started with Artifactory. Okay, what is Artifactory? We said that we need to control everything, right? So if you think of it, Artifactory, you can think of it either as a warehouse or as a very sophisticated inventory manager, okay? It is just something that every library that I'm either consuming from the outside world or creating within the organization is going into this warehouse that holds. This warehouse has two very important kind of capabilities. One, it has very smart and comprehensive metadata about every piece that is within this warehouse. And the second thing, it can make it very efficiently available to anyone who wants to consume it, and is obviously should be able to consume it as well. Okay, so think of it, I have a warehouse, it's very easy for me to find whatever I want and find anything that has to do with the metadata around it, and if I want it now in my machine to develop, I get it easily. No latency, very quickly, okay? This is Artifactory, and this is the base of our platform. Everything relies on Artifactory. If you would ask what is the single most important advantage of JFrog, is having Artifactory and having all the libraries, all the components within an organization stored and managed within Artifactory. All the other value that we built is actually built on top of this capability, on top of Artifactory. Okay, so we have a full platform for sure, but this is the basis of everything. Okay, this is why we'll see later that all of our packages and subscriptions are Artifactory and things around it. Okay, this is the basis of it. Now, this is how JFrog started. Okay, Yoav started Artifactory. This is a little bit of an history lesson. Started Artifactory as part of a consulting gig that they had before JFrog started. It started on the factory as an open source project. At some point realized, okay, this can be more than just a project, and that's how JFrog started. So, we store everything. This is our warehouse. What else do we want to do? One of the things that Artifactory made to the industry, suddenly this warehouse made automation much easier. So everyone started writing automation around it. If you hear about CI, CD, this is the process of building and releasing software automatically. They will build around this warehouse because suddenly it was very easy to find everything, and it was an accelerator for the automation. But then, as a company, JFrog started to look, okay, what's slowing down developers now? Okay, what's slowing down this process now? And the next thing that slowed this process was security. Because at some point, security teams, especially of large organizations, started saying, okay, it's great that you built all these automations and everything is going to production very fast, but it cannot go to production very fast. You can develop as fast as you want, but every time you want to release something, I need to perform a check over 1 month to make sure that everything is safe to use. And then all the velocity that developers gained by working very fast with automation with Artifactory is suddenly worth nothing, because instead of letting the rubber meet the road several times a day because I can develop that fast, someone came in and said, no, you cannot get this out of the factory before I'm running my test for 4 months. And this is where we started to break the security down and do with security what we call shift left. What does shift left mean? So essentially we wanted to shift left security, okay? We wanted to take the security practices and apply them earlier in the process and break them down to pieces so there will not be a big chunk at the end. And this is where we added what we call security essentials or X-ray, okay? We said, okay, we're managing your inventory. Why don't we scan your inventory as well? And tell you, okay, this is safe to use or not safe to use. Safe in terms of security or by the way of compliance, licensing as well. This was 6 years ago already, okay? So we started scanning you for security. Now I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. Then what we figured is, okay, software is being developed, great, things are being made, security kind of shifted left and we can move fast. And then we realized, okay, you develop at one place, but eventually when you run your software, it is usually not running in one place. If it's a software on your, mobile device, it obviously runs in billions of locations in the world probably, right, in every pocket. But even if it's a server-side application, usually it runs on, 20 different regions in the cloud. So there is a form of distribution. Once I have a new version, I have to somehow distribute it either to 20 regions in the cloud or to every pocket. So this is where JFrog added what we call JFrog distribution, and later on JFrog Connect, which is a distribution solution specifically to IoT devices. Okay? And the last big investment of JFrog was again in security. We figured out that security is not only scanning your components, and even the way components are scanned is not efficient enough. And this is where we added a few more security capabilities. It started with advanced security. That the main advantage was, okay, I scan your components, but that's not enough. Some components are safe or not safe in a specific context. For example, if your software is exposed to the internet, some vulnerability can be not safe. But if it's not exposed to the internet, the vulnerability is not relevant because you need an internet connection in order to exploit it. Okay? These are very simplified examples. By advanced security, provide you kind of a contextual analysis of the different components. And we added curation. Curation is like someone who says, okay, we want to block things even before they go into Artifactory, even before they go into the organization. Okay, so think of a firewall for packages and runtime. Runtime is our leg in the actual runtime in order to answer the question of, okay, if new vulnerability has been introduced, the first question I ask myself is, I will fix the development later, but first of all, where is it running currently in production? Okay, this is what runtime is helping me. Okay, so this is very high level, and today we have a very big or very comprehensive security suite to kind of cover all the life cycle, and again, it's the tip of the iceberg. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but this is just to kind of get you curious. Two more aspects of our platform. One is JFrog pipelines. There's an orchestrator, okay, to kind of take all these, we have the warehouse, we have the scanners, but someone has to control the flow. Kind of a new package comes in, what do you do? This is pipelines. And JFrog Insights and Mission Control, this is a management system for the full platform. Good, so this is it for the technical perspective. We can go on, especially me, I'm very, very passionate about it. I can go and talk about it for days, but I'm going back to the dialogue, okay? So this is how the products do our magic, and we understand what our magic is. Now let's get back to business, okay? Eventually, the team here is mostly working with the higher tier and enterprise customers. Strategic and enterprise, so it's all enterprise sales motion, okay? And all of you probably know, especially the sellers, okay, that eventually enterprise sales is about one of three things, okay? Either this tool that they buy allows them to make $1, save $1, or reduce risk, okay? When you go high in the organization for decision makers, there are no other currencies, okay? It's just dollars, right? And risk can be translated to that as well. That's it. So how does all of these good things translate to money? Because that's eventually what will make them buy or not. So what I'm going to present to you now is a Forrester report. What this report is about, it was commissioned by us, but it is delivered by Forrester without our intervention. It's what Forrester calls TEI, Total Economic Impact Reports. What they practically do is they take a bunch of customers, they aggregate these customers as if they were one, and then they try to measure the ROI of these customers, how much they paid for licenses or for the total cost of ownership, how much money they either saved or accelerated revenue, and provide you with an ROI and break it down a little bit to explain kind of where this revenue is coming from. Okay, so let's see what this report looks like. So you don't know kind of the investment, so these are vanity metric as they are, but we'll get to the investment as well. Okay, but from the three customers that Forrester took in this research, they said that they saved $13.5 million by accelerating the software delivery time. Okay, we'll get to everything in a second. The automation of vulnerability and compliance activities, meaning a library that I should use, shouldn't use, malicious, not vulnerable. How much it took me to deal with that? Saved $6.7 million. And additional increased productivity with DevSecOps collaboration, another $3.7 million. So all in all, over $20 million. And you will ask kind of about the investment. The investment was a few millions. We'll get to the specific ROI in a second. Now, if you want to boil it down to where these savings are coming from, it is mostly coming from saving developer time. Okay? Just taking the time the developer invested in other things without this tool, and now when the tool is in, okay, the developer saves the time. And what we see is that developers can save up to 156 hours per year, a month of work per year almost, okay, per developer, multiply it by 30,000 developers at Morgan Stanley, for example, and the average salary of a developer, it's a good number, okay? It's a good number to sell. And this is essentially what we sell in terms of value. We're saving developer time, okay? We're also reducing a lot of risk, but the piece that sells most, we're saving developer time, and this is how we save money to the organization. So, in terms of specifically out of this 156 hours, okay, there was 30% reduction in the time spent on OSS security. Again, you remember X-ray and advanced security and curation, okay? Back to your question, by the way, about curation. This is part of saving developers time. Wait time is a waste of time. So we're gonna both reduce wait time, okay, depends on the organization. Either it's wait to get an answer at the end of the road or wait to approve an OSS before. 30% reduction in the time spent by developers on OSS security. It's not only developers, these are also security professionals, but it's spent between the two types of engineers. And essentially what we have is a return of investment of almost 400%. Okay, so it's about $5 million investment on the $20 million that you have seen before of revenue, and the return on the investment. Okay, not the full 400%, but just returning your initial investment takes less than up to 6 months. Okay, so think about this investment. Someone tells you, okay, you put $1 million, you get $4 million in 3 years, but you get this $1 million back after 6 months. Not a bad deal. Okay, I'm taking it. If you have such investment to offer me, I'm in. Okay, so eventually when it boils down to number, this is what we provide. Okay, and how we do it, again, everything that you have seen in the previous slides with our products. Okay, that's the investment paper.